chair. Oh, well, you won't see me dumpster diving, today at least, on this episode of Where You Live, but we will be diving into some stories about recycling and waste management. We're here at the RDN landfill with Megan Larson, the Zero Waste Planner. Now, what are some tips you can give people watching today about how they can reduce all the garbage that's coming to the landfill here?
Yeah, absolutely. So lots of simple things like using your green bin, your recycling bin at home help to divert. If you're looking at cleaning your house, especially around spring cleaning this time of year, looking to donate or reuse any of the items that you can. So selling them, there's lots of free sites online that you can post them, or finding other organizations that are willing to take those items. The landfill is always going to be the last choice. So look at bringing what you can't reuse, recycle, or reduce here as the end resort.
And waste diversion is a great way to reduce your footprint. But what about the products that we buy in the first place?
Yeah, so one great thing is, there's packaging everywhere. So looking at what kind of packaging are you willing to recycle? Can you recycle it when you get home? And reducing that where you can. Plastic bags, film plastics can be recycled, but they're a big issue for a lot of people just for convenience sake.
Now, if you're like me, I'm guilty of it. I have a huge stack of plastic bags at home. And if you're wondering what you can do with them, there's a local crafters group in Nanaimo that's repurposing plastic bags and turning it into something very meaningful.
You can take any white garbage bag and make it into an essential item that can be used by one and all. My name is Joanne Husband, and I'm here today to introduce you all to some of the hardest working ladies I've ever met. They are the Nanaimo Harbour City crafty workers, and they make a huge variety of things.
I'm Terry Wolfarth, and we are the bag ladies and starting making bags out of plastic bags. First of all, you get our bags, and you need to fold them up first to cut them to make your yarn. So you fold them like this, and then you fold it in half again, you fold it in half again, then we will cut off the top and cut off the seam at the bottom. I got the idea off the internet. Some ladies in Australia started doing this, and I thought it was a wonderful thing. And depending how thick you want your mat, you make wider strips. Then we take our strips and we join them together. Just loop them through and pull them tight so they make a nice, neat join. And then we just keep joining all these loops and we roll them into our ball, which is called plarn because it's plastic yarn. Then we start to crochet with them. We start with just a chain and we try to make them 36 to 42 inches wide. So it will be a sleeping mat, so wide enough for different sized people to sleep on. The bigger the crochet hook, the thicker the yarn, the wider the strips are, the thicker the yarn will be. So it'll make a more cushioned mat. And with the finished one, we'll crochet a strap, just a chain on each end to make a strap so that we can roll them up. Also crochet a handle on it. And then that way they can be rolled up, they can be slung over your thing and packed easily, and they're very light, they're very warm, they'll keep you dry, they keep the warmth from if you're laying on ground or cement or whatever, they help keep you warm. So they would be great for the homeless, which is what we would like them for. So if people would like to learn how to do this, we would welcome anyone who would come and help make us mats for the homeless.
On this cool spring day, steam is the only thing rising from these long, tarped rows of decomposing organic matter at the Ladysmith Public Works Yard. But in the summer months, residents living near the yard on 6th Avenue cried foul at the stink arising from the long tubes of human waste being turned into soil.
You can't go wrong with that. It's just dirt.
Give it a sniff.
Yeah, it just smells like good dirt.
Yeah.
The town has been composting the biosolids produced by its wastewater treatment plant at the Public Works Yard since the 1990s.
Up until 2012, I think it was not even known to most people in the community because it was such an easy process to go through. At the end of 2012, what they call the ATAD digestion tanks down at the wastewater treatment plant had to be retired, and because we were that close to a new wastewater treatment plant, they weren't replaced. That complicated the biosolids processing a little bit. So from time to time, you'd get odors up at the Public Works yard, but with the change to the secondary treatment with the new plant, it became even more challenging, not only in terms of the odor, but in terms of the volume of biosolids to process.
We realized this is really not the final location for doing this, based on the volume, based on the space, but more importantly, based because it was in the middle of the community. And we really wanted to make sure that the smell, if it was any, it wasn't really in the middle of a residential area. So we recommended to council to move this to outside the facility, and that's how we've been working on.
Wastewater being released into the harbor from the new secondary treatment plant, which came on stream last summer, is cleaner, but the sludge produced smells a lot stronger, and there is more of it.
So the decision was made at that time to secure another site. Although it's not always easy to find an appropriate piece of industrial land, we were lucky enough to secure that in the last few months, and now we're moving feverishly on a good pace to get a new facility up and running later this year.
The town has bought property on Thick Road in the South End Industrial Zone, where it intends to build a fully enclosed composting facility.
In our current process, it's sort of an outside sort of what we would call a windrow process. In the new building, it's going to be completely contained. It will be in concrete channels, and there's an automatic mixer that so you put the material in one end, and then over a period of weeks, it's automatically mixed and it moves down the channel until it reaches the end of the channel, and when it's completely finished. Then there'll be an air handling system, so all of the air out of that building, and it'll be negative pressure building, will be sent through the biofilter, which will eliminate the odor.
And we're pretty excited about it, actually. We've taken what we consider best practices from all of the processing facilities that we've seen and tried to incorporate them all into being sort of an example that can be used for other communities that are also facing these challenges.
The biosolids take about a year to be turned into high-quality topsoil that meets Ministry of Environment standards.
And we produce what we call a Class A biosolid. So once it's Class A, it's really unrestricted, so it can be used in gardens, and we use it throughout the town in all of our gardens.
It's estimated the new composting facility could cost $1.8 million, but the town is eligible for a grant of $570,000 in regional gas tax funding to help pay for it, with the remainder of the funds to come from the sewer reserve and user fees. For Shaw TV, I'm Ned Lucas.
If you're like me, when it comes to recycling and waste, it is very easy to get confused and overwhelmed. Plastic bags, books, coffee cups, light bulbs, magazines, styrofoam. What am I supposed to do with it all? I have an idea. I could ask people in the park to help me out. Do you know how to properly dispose of that coffee cup if you wanted to?
That's a good question.
Well, probably just this one cup. I wouldn't be concerned about recycling this one.
The cardboard could probably be recycled, the plastic not.
I believe you can compost the bottom and recycle the top. Coffee cups and lids, they should always be recycled. When you think about the waste hierarchy, recycling something is really high up the hierarchy because it's going to get changed into a new product again.
It's more of a priority to turn it into a new object than it is to turn it into compost.
When you're composting something, it's lower down the hierarchy for waste. If it's a really dirty cardboard cup, you could put that in the composting, but if it's clean enough, it's better to put it into the recycle.
Okay, yeah. Didn't know that.
How about this magazine? What would you do with that?
Recycling.
That would go in with the paper and cardboard and stuff like that.
You must be some sort of a recycling expert.
I don't know. I keep everything. I'm a little bit of a hoarder.
And what about this book?
I'd put that with the recycling.
I would give it to someone else.
I would donate the book.
Well, actually, that book doesn't go in the recycling. The best thing to do is to donate it.
I think I would put this in the recycling. And then this book I would probably take to a used bookstore.
What we ask people to do with books is to take them to somewhere that they can be reused.
And what about a phone book? What would you do with a phone book?
Also put it in the recycling?
You are right. Another recycling expert.
People get confused about books because they're not accepted in the yellow bag, but things like magazines and telephone books are. And the reason is because it's the people that are creating books, they're not paying into the provincial program to make sure that their books are recycled. But the people that are creating the telephone books and the magazines, they're paying into the program to make sure their products are recycled.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, you could do, yeah.
So what's this thing?
Well, this is a big styrofoam. Do you know what the proper way to dispose of it is?
You would take it to the Nanaimo Recycling Exchange.
But we always play with these.
Down at the recycling, they have a special place for putting this.
Styrofoam needs to be taken to the depot where it can be sorted separately and handled on its own.
Ding, 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 ding. You are right.
Oh, really?
Very good answer.
Wonderful. Thank you.
That is because styrofoam breaks into tiny pieces if it's put in a collection truck. And you don't want something that breaks into tiny pieces in the collection truck because it gets throughout the whole load, it contaminates the load, and it becomes unrecyclable.
Do you two feel pretty clear now on how to dispose of all these items?
Yes.
Good. So I hope you don't mind taking care of them for me. Thanks.
The BC average for waste per person yearly is 520 kilograms. Now, I'm with Larry Gardner at the RDN landfill. Now, where do we compare to that number?
We're about 350 kilograms per person per year, which is world class.
So, yeah, we're doing pretty good, but I know, Larry, you want us to do better. So what's the 10-year plan for the RDN?
Right now, we're just working on our solid waste management plan, and what the proposal is to get us to 90% reduction or per capita disposal of about 110 kilograms per person per year. We need to change the business model so we build business so we see more diversion. So we've got a couple of plans to do that. One is to require source control, source separation. A lot of businesses, multifamily residences, they can just throw all of their waste in one bin right now. What we're looking to do is require actually that everybody has a recycle bin and an organics bin, so we see a higher level of diversion through source separation. The other area that we're hoping to do it is to drive more of the waste to businesses. Rather than coming directly to the landfill, we want to send the waste to business, because business is really effective at pulling materials out, and we'll see a higher level of diversion by directing the waste there. What we want to do is look at licensing waste haulers, and then we also want to set up a fee differential, so it's actually cheaper for the waste to flow to industry, to flow through the waste haulers in industry, rather than coming directly to the landfill for disposal. An example of that actually is like waste drywall that we have in place right now. We actually only accept drywall that has asbestos in it for disposal. We don't accept drywall that's recyclable. That flows to business and through business and is recycled.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Larry. And there's a new interesting program that's starting this summer for the Curbside program in Nanaimo.
Some new changes are coming to curbside pickup here in Nanaimo starting October, and I'm at the Public Works Yard with Charlotte Davis. Charlotte, what is happening?
So solid waste collections in the central area of Nanaimo are going to be automated.
And what does that mean?
That means that we're going to be using a special truck equipped with a mechanical arm to pick up your solid waste. And so our refuse collectors will be staying in the truck now and using a joystick to control the mechanical arm.
And behind us, actually, you can see the new truck, but that also means new bins for residents, isn't that right?
That's absolutely right. So every single family residence in Nanaimo will be issued with 3 bins, one for garbage, one for organics, and one for recycling. And the really exciting thing here is that the organics cart will be able to include yard waste now.
Tell me, what are some of the benefits for this new type of service?
The first benefit is that our refuse collectors are no longer having to manually lift waste. They were lifting about 5.5 tons of waste a day, so that's quite a lot to be doing. And the second benefit is to residents, so they're going to be able to use those really nice, easy to use carts. So much better than a floppy yellow bag. Nothing's going to blow away in the wind anymore. And the third benefit is that we can now add in yard waste. Also, some residents have been asking me, how am I going to wheel this cart? You know, maybe they're a little elderly or something like that. And we have a program called Pull Out Pushback. So you can call Public Works and sign up to that. And what it means is that the refuse collector will get out the truck at your house, wheel the cart from your property, empty it and put it back on your property.
You're always struggling with what people should not be putting in the bin. Are there going to be any changes to that?
There won't be any changes to what you can put in your recycling, but you'll absolutely be able to begin putting yard waste in with your kitchen waste once we get the new automated bins. So that's really, really positive. We're also going to be letting people know again what goes in there, because we really want to help be in control of contamination. So the bins are going to have a decal on top that tells people what does and does not go inside.
Charlotte, we have 2 bins out of the 3. What are the difference between the 2?
Okay, so this is the organics cart. This is the standard cart that every household will be issued. It's a 120 litre cart, and in here you can put your kitchen waste and your yard waste.
And this one over here?
This is the recycling cart. This is the 240 litre cart, and this contains all your recyclables. One of the things about these carts, we're going to be educating residents is about how to place them. Because of the cart, because of the arms, the carts need to be placed 1 metre apart. And then also, we're going to give all households a standard set of carts. So for organic materials, that's 120 litres, recycling 240, and for garbage, it's going to be 120 as well. We're going to ask residents to try out those sizes for 2 months, and if they're unhappy, if they want to upsize or even downsize, they can give us a call after 2 months. During that 2-month period, we're still going to have the bag a tag program, so if you have extra waste you can just bag it and tag it, and we'll collect that too.
Something interesting to know is that you don't necessarily have to have bags for this new service.
That's right, you can contain your waste loosely inside these carts. We are going to have one rule, and that is that the lid always must shut closed. If it doesn't shut closed, we won't collect it. But these carts are actually bigger than what people are allowed to currently put out, so there should be lots of volume.
So again, the dates are for this new service?
October this year for the central area, and July 2018 for the rest of the city. People can go to nanaimo.ca and check out our FAQ documents, or they can give us a call at Public Works. That's on 250 758 5222.
With the warmer weather arriving, people are thinking about going from 4 wheels to 2. And getting bikes back on the road is exactly what Dustin Seibel does here in his garage at Vibe Bikes.
We're a local recycling company. We take old bikes on donation or recycle them back for the community to use again. Years ago when we first started doing it, there's a lot of kids that didn't have a bike to ride, so we got the idea of donating bikes to children in need and helping people with affordable solutions for adult bikes. I feel everyone should have a bike. When I was growing up as a kid, I had bikes, we all had bikes, and now it's not many people can afford to have a bike now, and we're trying to, make everyone be able to have a bike.
What are we working on here?
We're taking this whole bike apart. You can tell it's very seized.
We at Nanaimo Roofing Company we're passionate about what Dustin's doing with these bikes and how much he's helping the community, and we wanted to find a way that we could give back to the community, and this was a no-brainer. We help them with pickups and delivering bikes to people that don't necessarily have the transportation to get out here. Takes a little bit of time and takes a little bit of effort, but we definitely see the smiles on the children's and people's faces when we deliver the bicycles.
We want to take everything apart and change it and re-grease it and make sure it's safe to use.
On average, Dustin will receive 10 to 15 bikes a week from the community. Some in decent condition, while others are not.
We would take any bike like this on a donation.
Sometimes he gets some really difficult bikes in, and I personally would have thought they would have just gone straight to the scrap metal pile. He takes his time and he looks and he decides which parts are worth keeping and which things can be salvaged. So he tries to get the most out of each bike.
There's been many that just need to be totally stripped down and rebuilt, all the bearings greased, everything, brought back to life.
I've seen a lot of bikes in the thrift shops and other places around town, and you don't know if they're safe, but you get them from somebody that's rebuilt them, all the cables are good, and you're going to have something reliable.
Hold it down if you want to try to...
Vibe Bikes has been in operation for 7 years. In that time, over 4,000 bikes have been refurbished and put back into use instead of the landfill.
It feels really amazing. Something that would have been dumped or discarded, it's back on the road. It works perfectly again, and someone's enjoying it again now.
Recycling is one thing, and it can mean a lot of different things to different people, but this is practical. It doesn't really take much energy or resources, and it puts a great product out there for people to enjoy and reuse.
It's not easy, but we keep going, and the more we donate bikes to people, the more people get to know us, and it builds our business a little stronger each day.
A finished bike for a customer.
Vibe Bikes operates as a non-profit group. Money made from any bike sales goes into buying new parts to fix more bikes. Now, after 7 years of 10 to 15 bikes coming in and leaving the shop, has created a bit of a situation.
The amount of donations coming in isn't really keeping up with demand, so I know that he does have a waiting list for the children's bikes. I think it'd be really, really beneficial for people to stop by and donate some children's bicycles or anything that they have available.
Put it to good use, man.
Oh, I will, yeah.
I know you will.
Yeah.
If you have an old bike you're not using and it's falling apart and building up rust, think about donating it to Vibe Bikes and help them get it to someone who needs some wheels. For Shaw TV, I'm Todd Jones.
These days, a modern society and a global economy, we tend to take things that have reached the end of their useful life and toss them. But wait, Nanaimo Science and Sustainability Organization wants you to think about recycling and even upcycling things like stinky old t-shirts into making them something useful again. So Stephanie Masick is here to tell us what we can do with these old shirts.
Yes, I am.
What can we do?
We are going to make some reusable tote bags with these old shirts. Okay, so for the first step is we can just lay our t-shirts down, and what we're going to do is cut off the sleeves just on the inside side of the seam. And so these will be the beginning of our handles. Once we have the beginning of our handles, you can always trim it to make sure it looks a little nicer, is we're just gonna cut on the outside of this collar seam. Now what we need to do is just cut 1-inch strips along the bottom up until about a third of the shirt.
Tell me a little bit more about NS3.
Yeah, so NS3 inspires children to inspires them to learn about science and just really develop their interest into science. And we're really focused on hands-on activities because that really gets them more excited about science and doing fun things. Once you have all of your strips cut out, all you have to do is tie the two ends into a knot together. I like to do a double knot just so that it'll stay in place.
What other programs does NS3 have?
NS3, we have a few drop-in programs. We have some Thursday and Saturday mornings from 10 to 12. We do a drop-in here in the studio. And the kids come with their families or parents, grandparents, and they kind of have time to explore the studio at their leisure.
So that's it?
These are really fun like this with the ties on the bottom, but if it wasn't really as appealing or maybe you had a little stain like this, what you can also do is flip the totes inside out.
Pretty cool. Great thing to do with an old t-shirt rather than the rag bin. You can learn how to do this and a lot more from the NS3. Thanks for having us in your science studio, Stephanie. It's been great being here.
It's our pleasure.
As soon as you enter this home, you are met with a softness and warmth only a natural build can truly provide. Cindy, designer of Raincoast Homes, and her husband Bill traded in their conventional lifestyle in Victoria to build their eco-friendly cob home on Gabriola Island.
Bill and I, our whole worldview was shifting, and we were concerned about the health of the planet and our own health.
I wanted to be a smaller ecological footprint.
So we came up with sort of a hybrid concept of some old building practices like light clay straw and using mud plasters, as well as some new technology like the cellulose.
Without a proper roadmap to follow, the couple had to make one up themselves.
We didn't necessarily know what we were getting into, and that was all the way along, I think, to be honest about it. But when we built the south wall, which is 20 inches deep, so 2 walls separated by 20 inches that we were infilling with light clay straw wood chips. So we started mixing by hand straw wood chips and clay slip. And so mixing it in a wheelbarrow with a pitchfork, and made up a batch, put it into a 20-liter pail, brought it inside, dumped it into our wall, and this little splat down. And we did that, for 6 or 7 pails, and then we calculated how long it was going to take us to do that. And I think Cindy said it was going to be 80 days for us to fill up this wall, and we thought, this is not going to work.
Almost 3 years later, their dream home was complete. Their home features a passive solar design, utilizing the sunlight on the south side and solar panels on the roof. The system provides a net gain of electricity, which goes back into the grid system. The large mass walls play an active role in the air quality and warmth of the building.
Upstairs is reclaimed Doug-fir roof decking from the old Town and Country Mall in Victoria.
You pay less for materials and more for labor, but which is fine. It's a trade-off, and if you can employ more people locally to help build, I think it builds community.
The home also has composting toilets, rainwater harvesting, and reuses gray water to feed back into their gardens. In order to build this eco-friendly home, an engineer needed to sign off, as the building doesn't use some of the typical construction methods. There is no vapor retarder, drywall, and of course, the walls are insulated with clay and straw, not fiberglass or wood. And unlike a traditional home, the materials are not manufactured perfectly.
I struggled a little bit with the imperfections of natural materials, but I learned to appreciate that, it has a different feel and a different sense.
In letting go for the need of perfection, you can embrace the beauty of the natural qualities a cob home embodies. For Where You Live, I'm RDN the Plant. Cindy is also part of a not-for-profit organization on Gabriola called Harmony Habitat. Now, the organization is currently in the process of creating a building guide to make everything centralized for building your eco-friendly home. Now, their mission is to make sustainable attainable. And even if you don't live in a cob home, you still can live sustainably. You can check out the RDN for some tips and tricks to reduce your footprint. And if you're already doing something quirky and wacky for recycling, share your story with us on social media. I'm RDN the Plant, and that's Where You Live.